Yeah, welcome back to Bitcoin Journaling. We're real happy to have you. We hope that you're having a wonderful day out there. So we're actually taking a closer look at Bitcoin and movements in the market. And as we take a look at the events of the day here, we can actually see that the price for early Monday was actually over 109,000 for Bitcoin, and just hours ahead of President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration, as it was pumped up to industry bets. His action soon after returning to the White House had a significant impact on the crypto markets. So we're actually going to take a look at crypto news and various events that were occurring in the market. And as we take a look at what's actually occurring, we can actually see that more and more people are actually embracing digital currencies. And one of the topics that's really in the news lately has been the issue when it comes to energy and digital currency, and of course climate change focus. And as the global cryptocurrency market has actually increased in value, we're seeing that more and more emphasis is being put on proof of stake versus proof of work networks, where miners are actually having more input into what's actually happening with different types of networks, different types of cryptocurrencies as a result of energy intensive. Basically keeping the validators happy, and those validators are of course validating and verifying transactions to make sure that the networks are safe and secure. One of the things that we're looking at too, most people know that Ethereum is proof of stake, and actually we're looking more at energy use for Ethereum's network, and actually trying to figure out exactly with the movements in the crypto market whether there's going to be more gravitation of investors from proof of work to more of proof of stake. Let's see, cryptos such as Cardano and Solana, they've been gaining quite a bit of ground in the crypto market, and they use significantly less energy and handle large numbers of transactions without slowing down. And there's going to be a lot more attention to Cardano and Solana going forward. Despite these benefits, now people are actually referring to these cryptocurrencies as green cryptocurrencies, and more users are actually worrying about whether proof of stake or proof of work, and whether they're going to be more secure. And once we gravitate to more of once we start looking at the different types of networks, then the issue comes up as far as whether validating transactions is going to be more safe and secure. And when it comes to proof of stake, we find that the initial distribution of cryptocurrency on the proof of stake networks tends to be a lot more democratic. Actually less democratic, and often benefiting the early adopters, and that has a disproportionate effect on the network. So that is one thing we definitely have to take a look at going forward when we take a look at proof of stake versus proof of work. We see that the crypto market in 2025 is at an all-time high. Going forward, we'll actually see that there's going to be a lot more clear regulation. We've seen it in the news that various exchanges and their CEOs believe that there'll be more clearer regulation for the U.S. going into this upcoming administration. And also, based on what we see from previous cycles, this year will be the year where we'll see a new all-time high in the cryptocurrency market. And as Bitcoin passes $100,000 mark, 100,000 price milestone for the first time. More and more traders are actually getting into the market, and they're more optimistic about crypto industry prospects under the Trump administration. And as of Tuesday, the token was trading near 104,000, and down 3% in the last 24 hours, amid basically a broad slump across the crypto market. So we're seeing a lot more volatility in the market going forward as we try to navigate the cryptocurrency market. One thing we do see, though, we definitely feel that there's going to be a more favorable environment for cryptocurrency. Bitcoin has gone up to 109,000 the other day, and we think that there's going to be ongoing momentum, especially now that we have a new head of the SEC coming in, who is a kind of a cryptocurrency guy, and we see this thing Bitcoin actually moving up to possibly 130,000 going forward. So one thing that we do want to take a look at is what are the main industry experts are actually saying about cryptocurrency. And keep in mind that we have been looking at various news media, and we see that there's a speculation that possibly by the summertime, Bitcoin could be at 150,000 per a BTC. But there are going to be other opportunities in the market. If we take a look, we see as far as advancements in AI, possibly there's going to be large deals with Microsoft to supply energy for their AI data centers. And of course, when it comes to AI data centers, there are also going to be deals with various Bitcoin miners across the world as far as looking for more less intensive and more renewable energy sources. And we're also looking at possibly more interest in precious metals such as copper and gold. So the largest gold and copper miners in the world are going to be possibly seeing more movement, because gold is going to be seen as a possible hedge against inflation. One thing we do want to take a look at too are the energy stocks as well as the precious metal stocks, whether you're actually venturing into that market through an ETF, or you're actually taking possession of your precious metals, whether it be silver or gold or any other type of precious metal. We do see more interest in copper, especially now that there's more push towards cobalt, copper, and other metals for the EV industry. So that will be very interesting to watch. And then we do see, as far as interest in the financial sector, we do anticipate good runs and returns on stocks such as American Express and MasterCard as a result of the pump in the crypto market, which is going to be interesting parallel to watch. And then also different bank stocks we do anticipate will be pumping as we go into the mid 2025. One thing we do want to look at is the movement of Bitcoin possibly gaining momentum as high as 250,000 by the end of 2025, which is a price speculation. This would represent a staggering increase of 160,000. 160% as far as prediction. And of course, no one really knows what's going to be happening with Bitcoin towards the end of the year, September, October, November of 2025. But we do anticipate that the spot Bitcoin ETFs will be driving interest rates higher. We do see that now that we have Bitcoin exchange traded ETFs, we do believe that of liquidity into the market, and of course, because there's going to be more liquidity and of course more volatility, we do see a steady increase in Bitcoin going into the remainder of the year. To put the 100 billion, let's just speculate, if we were to put 100 billion invested in the spot Bitcoin ETFs in perspective, there's currently about 125 billion invested in physical gold ETFs, and that's been around for 2 decades. So the popularity in 2024 is an indicator. We do see that the Bitcoin price is likely to go up as a result of inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs, and because there's more of a favorable market for cryptocurrency, we do anticipate that the inflow is going to be a catalyst for significant movement in the Bitcoin price going forward. And now that we have crypto czars coming in who are going to be spearheading improving the level of regulation, we do anticipate that cryptocurrency could, especially Bitcoin, which is a first, is considered to be digital gold, could rise 40% or more above its current level in 2025. Of course, we mentioned the new administration, but we do see across the board digital assets are gaining ground with institutional investors. So when it comes to institutional investors, and we look at the spot ETFs, there's increasing appetite for digital assets, and we do anticipate that will be pushing forward, where there'll be more cash inflow, not only from the retail side, but also institutional investors will be pumping inflow into the cryptocurrencies. So as we eye 250,000 for Bitcoin in 2025, this will probably from January through June of 25 will probably be a very good time to actually start taking a closer look at Bitcoin as an investment vehicle. We do see that the volatility will point to Bitcoin being a good hedge against inflation. And if we take a look at the growth of Bitcoin over the last 10 years, it has outpaced inflation significantly beyond any other instrument, whether we're just parking our money in a standard S&P 500 fund, whether it be VU or any of the other funds, possibly sitting back with the stability, not much volatility, and earning anywhere from maybe 2 to 3%, whereas Bitcoin has outshined a lot of these different investments, whether it be gold, silver, or any of the ETFs over the last 10 years. Bitcoin has proven to be a solid hedge against inflation, and with more institutional investors pumping Bitcoin, we anticipate that it's going to be even more lucrative for those who are actually getting in. So if we look at the 12 spot Bitcoin ETFs, 2 of the most popular ones are iShare Bitcoin Trust and Grayscale Bitcoin Trust ETFs, and all of these ETFs combined have more than 100 billion in managed assets. So we do see that there's going to be more inflow going into 2025 with as more and more people become educated, and we see that the scarcity. Do keep in mind that we are pegged to our last halving, where the reward block dropped from 6.25 to 3.125 BTC per reward block. So with that, it increases scarcity, and more people, especially institutional investors, even states and countries, are now eyeing Bitcoin as a very, very good investment for the long term, whether it be a 5-year plan or 10-year plan. So definitely take a look at the Bitcoin exchange traded funds, the ETFs. Follow for sure news of the SEC as far as more favorable regulation for Bitcoin going forward. Keep in mind also that we do anticipate possibly pretty good increase, possibly as high as 160% increase in the Bitcoin price, which is more on the high end level of some of the industry experts, and also quite a few of the Bitcoin bulls are actually very optimistic of us hitting at least 145,000 for Bitcoin in mid 2025. So as we look closer at movements in the market, we do want to make sure that our subscribers are taking a look at the favorability of the regulatory climate as well as movements in the Bitcoin ETF. Definitely check every 3 to 4 days valuations in the most common of the Bitcoin ETFs. And do keep in mind too, we are eyeing other possibly altcoin ETFs coming on the market through regulatory approval. One of the main things is whether some of these altcoins are actually classified as commodities versus security. So if you remember in the previous administration, the main focus was actually whether the altcoins and various other cryptocurrencies were actually securities versus commodities, and that makes a difference on whether they will have movement in the market and exposure to more of these more lucrative investment vehicles. So digital assets are definitely gaining ground with in institutional investors. Of course, none of this guarantees that Bitcoin will reach 250,000 in 2025. Whether the price will jump 2.5 times from its current price to reach the top of some of the predictions, that remains to be seen. But definitely keep an eye on movements in the Bitcoin ETF, where investors are able to actually participate and benefit from the volatility of the Bitcoin price without actually taking possession, whether it be on an exchange or retaining their Bitcoin in a cold wallet, I mean. So take a look at what's happening with iShares Bitcoin Trust and Grayscale Bitcoin Trust going forward into the year. Keep a close eye on the market. Also spot check Bitcoin, possibly a daily, every other day, to see the price fluctuations and volatility, and see whether they correlate to events in the SEC news, or whether they correlate with new regulations that are going to be coming. But these new regulations, as far as the regulatory climate in general, will become more and more favorable as we go into 2025. So definitely keep a spot on that. Don't allow to lose out on opportunities as the Bitcoin price starts to increase for various reasons. And a lot of these times, the dips and the various if you were to spot check the price on candlestick patterns, a lot of these patterns and pumps and dips on a trading view can actually be correlated to actual immediate news or news from previous months that are finally accepted among institutional investors as optimism going into the market as we gain momentum towards summer 2025. So thank you for listening to Bitcoin Journaling, another edition. We will continue to monitor the Bitcoin market and altcoin market for increased favorability for investors, general news, general journaling, and of course, we do hope that this information serves you well to examine the Bitcoin as well as the altcoin and digital cryptocurrency market. Thank you for tuning in to Bitcoin Journaling. This is Bitcoin and the blockchains. Have a great day.